Good morning, Florida. It's March 30th, 7 o'clock in the morning here in Brno. Um, this will be kind of a short video. I have too much work. I have like too many students and too many things I have to do today. But like um, I still wanted to kind of like keep this up daily. Um, Yesterday I got my first official like hate mail because of these videos. It was definitely someone from Eastern Europe or Russia. Yeah, they sent me kind of like a fairly threatening um, message, calling me like all sorts of names and stuff. And I tell my students at the college basically, like one true sign of success is when you have haters, So like, and also because I kind of got used to the idea of like people doing this stuff. Like I mean like I have my very very small social media presence. I kind of like social media for me has always been kind of like something kind of like a diary. It's something that I can look back on, in 10 or 15 years and look back at what I was doing at that time and kind of like, my thing mainly was doing it just for myself, not trying to kind of like go out there and like hunt for followers and stuff like that. 'Cause I mean, that's just not something that's really, really interesting for me. I mean, I have my students and that's kind of like my thing, and my family. Um, but yes, I got that. But last night, I mean, there's just this one thing, because like, I feel guilty. I mean, like, I feel guilty because, like last night, I made dinner, after I got all my work done. And I made dinner and I was sitting on the sofa watching, what am I watching? I'm watching Westworld. So I'm watching Westworld, and the dog is here and it's nice and cuddly and all those things. And I really feel guilty. I mean, I felt like, um, how awful is this, that as far as I know, I'm healthy, and I'm sitting in my flat, having a nice dinner, watching entertainment, while other people are suffering. People are dying. Literally, people are dying. People are choking to death and dying. And I mean, like, and it's difficult not to feel guilty about that. On the other hand, there's like a ridiculously selfish people, like I mentioned before, like the inconvenienced, who, um, I can't even comment on that. I just can't. I mean, like, it's possible they're living in denial or something, but I know one person here in Brno actually, who thinks that I'm crazy because I'm following the rules, and this person is kind of like out partying and going around and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, well, we're not going to see each other face to face for quite a long time because you probably have it, and no, sorry, like. This person is extremely healthy, probably would be the last person that would possibly die from this, but I'm just kind of like, no, no, no. That's just not going to happen. So like I was thinking about like for me, kind of like making the videos is kind of like trying to do something to help because I mean like we're in quarantine. There isn't a whole lot I can do here. Like who am I going to donate money to or things like that. But like I said, like me just trying to get you guys more motivated to do more things on the United States and the Florida end, to just try to help, try to do something. I know a lot of you, for example, if you're home with your kids, it's really difficult because you have to do you're like mom and dad and teacher and all of these things, and especially kind of like living in your little like space capsule lives. For those of you that actually are being intelligent and following the rules and doing what you're supposed to be doing, rather than what you want to be doing, because this is not the time for want. This is the time for like need and necessity. So I saw on the news this morning that Joanne Fabrics in Florida, if you're making masks, Joanne Fabrics will give you free material. Okay, so now you don't have an excuse. It wouldn't even cost you anything. So put on your mask, go to Joanne Fabric, pick up some material, come home. Like I said, if you've got young kids in the house and they don't know how to sew and you have a sewing machine, teach them. Make a family project out of it. Get different colors. Have them do like different designs and stuff. Make it interesting. Just please no orange and blue combinations. There's already enough stupid in the world. Just kidding. So yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like I was talking about, like do something. Like we are fortunate that we do have homes to live in during this time of crisis, where we have comforts, and I mean, and you just watch the news every single day, and you see how many people are suffering and how many people are dying. Thankfully, here, it's not so much, but in the United States, I mean, I started this 8 days ago, and I was warning you about the catastrophe that's coming. And 8 days later, just in a week and a day, you're starting to see kind of like what I was talking about 8 days ago. That you need to start taking this seriously, and you're not. A lot of you are not. I mean, probably like my friends and family, a lot of them are actually. Except for so I told you I got the hate message yesterday. I also got kind of like someone in my family. This is true. Someone in my family basically said that I was trying to, basically kind of like influence them politically, and that they didn't like, the attacks, and I kind of just went like, I basically have said the whole entire time, this is not a political thing. This is where you guys should be coming together. Like in the Czech Republic, we've pretty much come together. In Europe, we've pretty much come together. Even like, for example, in Britain, like they're polarized, but like the people aren't like attacking each other all the time online like you guys are in the States. We have one plan. We have one thing. We're coming together to solve this, and you guys are, you're not. You're living in your two little like gigantic bubbles, and you have gotten to the point now that even in a national crisis where people are dying and a lot of people are going to die, you guys still can't communicate. You still can't talk. I mean, like every single idea, every single word that comes from the other world is heresy, and that kind of makes you collectively stupid in some way, it's kind of like a pox on both of your houses, so I'm not trying to influence anyone politically. I'm not trying to make someone like, vote for anybody, because there's no election coming up, not for a long time, but it's just about competence and leadership. These are the things, I said, like some things they do good, some things they do bad. Some Democrats good, some Democrats bad, some Republicans good, some Republicans bad. It doesn't matter. It's about saving lives and protecting you. Okay, like for example, like in Florida, for Christ's sakes, I mean, like they're not doing anything. We saw the press conference yesterday. They kicked out, they refused to allow access to this press conference about the coronavirus to two of the largest newspapers that represent, the two largest sections of the state. And they would not let those journalists in. Those journalists probably had specific questions about, how is this going to affect their region? What kind of resources are going to come to the region? And they weren't even allowed into the press conference. I mean, like, if you think that's okay, there's probably something wrong with you, really. Because everybody needs to have that access to that information. Everybody, all the journalists need to ask questions from their specific regions, where they're from, because they need to know what they have to work with, or they can plan, so they can, they can give the information to their individual constituents locally to make them feel better, at least to give them some information so they know what to do, So that was kind of that was fairly ridiculous, and then Tallahassee is also kind of trying to create this narrative while doing nothing. I mean, they're doing nothing, but they're trying to create this narrative where it's the dirty foreigners, which is a very, very popular thing to do in the States now. But the funny thing about the dirty foreigners this time is they're just talking about other Americans that come from different states, It's not a homegrown problem, which is ridiculous because you're in the middle of the crisis. Everything that Tallahassee needs to be doing right now is to solve and mitigate the crisis, and they're just trying to shift blame for it. It's like, this is like your house is on fire, and instead of trying to put out the fire, you've called for the fire inspector to come and figure out what started the fire, while the house is still burning and no one's putting water on it. Okay? That's exactly what this is. You know, your house is on fire and you're doing nothing about it. In fact, some of you are just pouring gasoline on it. You know, like some of you, I think, like your education, I think that was probably, that was a massive waste of money. Like those tax dollars could have gone to something else because, like that was a waste on some of you, really. All you have to do is to look on the other side of the fence and see how these other countries who have already had this problem, how they're dealing with it, and how they're dealing with it much better. Not every idea has to be homegrown. It's kind of ridiculous. Another thing. And again, I'm trying to make this political, but like you have to think about this. When I woke up this morning and got on the news, a lot of the news was about the fact that, the president, I read them because I usually we don't do Twitter here. Twitter's like an American thing where you guys can just scream at each other. Twitter doesn't really exist outside of the United States. I know it's probably shocking for a lot of you, but it doesn't. We don't have, I don't know anybody who's got Twitter here. Sometimes we have Twitter hooked up, I think it's hooked up to Facebook, and some of my friends sometimes tell me, oh, I saw what you wrote on Twitter. I'm like, I don't have Twitter. But I guess everything I write on Facebook, it's automatically, I have no idea, but I don't care. I don't check it. So, this is the freaky thing. So the president, 6 tweets about his ratings yesterday. And this is the thing. He talks about that a lot, but the problem here is this. Okay? People are dying. They're dying faster. More people are getting infected. No measures are being taken hardly at all on the national level, and some states are just still kind of like completely blind to the thing. There's this huge catastrophe happening right now, and he writes those 6 tweets, and this time I actually looked at them because I was like, what? I can't, I don't want to waste my time on this bullshit, and I read them, and the thing that shocked me the most is that they were so full of statistics and numbers that, I went, so the president of the United States, the person who's in charge of all these things, the person who's responsible for all these things, either he took the time out of trying to solve a national crisis to actually look up all of these numbers so he could add them in these tweets, and how long did it take him to write these things? Or did he give that job to someone else in the White House who could have been working on something, more pro coronavirus or pro anything? And so he's using the resources of the White House or his own precious time. He's paid to do that job. I know how long it takes to look up numbers and stuff, and I'm a hell of a lot smarter than he is, and I'm fast. I do this stuff like boom, 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 boom. And a lot of time, it takes me a lot of time to find these numbers and stuff. And like he had 6 full tweets of all these statistics, and I just went like, this is the best use of your time, really. That's kind of like putting the federal government to use, and that's saving how many lives? Honestly, do the people that are in his kind of like fan club, is that really something that they need or want? Because I just don't get it. I just, that is so alien to me that, Fauci yesterday, he's probably gonna get fired this week, because he said, they hope to keep the deaths down between 100 and 200,000. That's way over the global. That's kind of like you guys are gonna like beat the rest of the world, in deaths. You're already leading in the cases, and even if you put all the European Union countries combined, I think we're like at 350 or 360 or something, and you guys are. You're going to catch us. You're the leading nation, but I never actually compare like the United States with individual European nations. I always just compare the EU with the US because those are the two things. And so the EU is still way above the US, but you're even going to catch them past that. Because we're kind of like putting the lid on things. We've got basically. Spain and Italy are still a little bit, they're getting to they're getting to this apex thing. I mean, they're actually getting to it, and they took measures. In the United States, you've taken no measures, and you're having massive shortages of equipment that we're not having here so much. Like even the Czech Republic, we're sending all of the hazmat suits and those types of things to all these people. We've been sending masks. We're making masks. I told you the thing yesterday about how the Czech Republic crowdsourced 1,000 ventilators in less than 24 hours. They raised the money from the citizens. We're like boom, boom, boom. We're taking care of stuff. We're really serious about this. And like I was like the selfish people. I saw these videos this morning. One of my friends in Australia. She put this on there. It's like these people sitting in these hotels with their kids because they come back from holiday and they have to go in quarantine, and they're bitching that we've been here for 5 days. We just can't go out, and we went up. I just can't believe, how incredibly awful so many people are. It's. I mean, like even like I said, my friend here. I mean, like I'm a little bit not happy about that because it's like criminally selfish that you can actually the best thing you can do to help people is to do nothing. Oh God, you have to stay in a hotel room with a television and food for 2 weeks. And people complain about this. They go on social media and they complain, oh my God, we can't leave the house. And it's like, less than 100 years ago, we were throwing people in death camps. We've had wars. We've had some really, as a species, we have all had to suffer through so many things. And, as a species, apparently half of us now are just completely like mentally so fragile that just the idea of having to stay inside of a comfortable building with food and entertainment for a couple of weeks is way too much to ask of them. This is the thing. I mean, this is where you actually need to have some leaders that are kind of like, big daddy, like, just verbally slapping the shit out of some of these people and telling them to shut the hell up, get out of the way, don't bitch, and let the adults, go to work to help solve the crisis. I got a message on YouTube this morning from someone who watched me from New Zealand. So yeah, like the 15 people that watch my videos, and he was asking me kind of like about a question about, so like, what's going to happen to Florida now, given that it's taken them so long to enact the measures? And I wrote him back and I said, this is the scary part. They haven't enacted any measures really. A couple of counties have, but and even at that point, it's bullshit because they're still going to have people driving back and forth to those counties and be like, yeah, great. Orange County, yeah, they tell everyone to stay home, but they're not telling everybody else around there to stay the hell away from Orange County. So it's really kind of pointless. They need to, like we say, like we're doing on the rest of the planet. You need to shut down the regions and keep them isolated. So you can actually have like accurate information from within them. And this is when I said this yesterday. I said when Trump was talking about that, I was like, yes, please. I mean, like if he does something good, then yeah, I'm gonna support that. If he does something stupid, I'm not gonna support that. But yeah, quarantine the areas, drop the border, put the state police on the interstates and all of the roads that connect all of the states and force those people to stay except for commercial traffic. Yes, absolutely. And, this is one of those times where it's kind of like, fuck constitutional rights. I don't care. You don't need to travel interstate if you're not driving a truck or a cargo train. That's it. That's basically that. Or if you're transporting medical supplies or food, that's it. It ends there. Let's see. Basically, yeah, and the testing also, like I saw in the news this morning that, they had I mentioned 2 days ago that I had like some of my friends, two different people in Florida, in the Tampa Bay area, one in Orlando, one in the Tampa Bay area, told me that they got refused testing. And, because you have to be from the hotspots, which is kind of like, yeah, whatever. And now we're finding out today, like in the Tampa Bay area, that even the people that managed to get the tests at those drive-through places, were waiting up to 8 days, or some of them are still waiting. They're waiting up to 8 days to get the test results back. You know, that's not good. I mean, okay, but I mean, like, I'm not criticizing the fact that they actually got the test. I mean, like, you know, but that's something they have to fix. They really need to find good tests. We had a problem here. We got some tests from China, and they found out that they expired. You know, the actual testing kits. You know, they had expired like, you know, 4 years ago or something like that. So it was like, that's really helpful. You know, but these are the things they need to be doing. You know, not investing time to figure out like what their viewership is versus Monday Night Football and The Bachelor, or creating this narrative that, you know, like Floridians are kind of like this clean nationality and like all the people from the other states are dirty, which is just like, what, you know, it's ridiculous. And then they had deaths in Pinellas, my home county, Pinellas County. I'm from St. Petersburg. Yeah, and that's rough to see. I mean, it's really, really rough to see because, you know, like I said, like, you know, like a lot of this stuff did not have to happen. And the deaths that are coming in the next month or the next 2 months, because again, you're not doing anything. And, you know, you guys, it's going to be just an absolute, it's going to be a horror show, an unnecessary horror show. It's an own goal. You know, it's a self-inflicted, you know, it's self-inflicted gunshot wound. You know, you're shooting yourselves by not taking action, you know. But like I said, you know, like, please be proactive. If the only thing you can do is to keep your family at home and not kill anybody, fine. You know, that's doing something. At least you and your family are not out there like potentially infecting other people who are going to infect another 10 and another 10 and another 10 and another 10, you know, and get some old people or some nurses killed. You know, if that's the only thing you can do, fine. That at least is doing something, all right? If you got a little bit of extra energy, go to Joanne Fabrics, get some masks, write the governor, write the sheriffs. I've been saying this. You guys have to shut down the state. Your medical system there is not even close to capable of handling a small fraction of the full outbreak, the unmitigated outbreak. I mean, like, it's not. This was the very, very first video I did. I put on there, you know, the population, how many people that are at risk, that 5 million, sorry, and the number of beds you have, the number of ventilators you have, because, you know, you're not going to get anything. Actually, maybe Florida might get something from the White House because DeSantis and you know, he probably is the type of person that would, you know, have a really, really good idea about the precise location on the ass that needs to be kissed, and, you know, the technique and the length of time required to convert that ass kissing into ventilators for the state of Florida. I know that sounds a little bit kind of like negative, but, you know, like, if you watch the news, you know, that's kind of what it looks like. It's sad, but it's the reality, you know. It's how you guys want to conduct yourselves as people, and it's how you want to conduct yourselves as a country. You know, just kind of like, it's really not the most efficient or effective way to govern or to do anything, basically. But, you know, hey, to each their own. I just don't want people to die. That's all. And one last quick thing, because Brno, we dropped back down to 1.5 on the reproductive rate for the country, but in Brno it's actually quite small. We added, I think, 9% yesterday to the country, but I think Brno now is basically kind of like maybe the 5th region in terms of like total amount of cases. Like, like I said, you know, this city, we shut down, but we're also kind of like this tech university city. So we've got, I mean, like, I hate to say this, but it's actually true. I mean, like, we have like a really kind of like educated, we're very, very highly educated population here, you know, more than the rest of the country. And, you know, we took this shit seriously from the beginning, and boom, locked everything down. And you can see the results in our numbers. We're way, like, on all of our averages and all deaths and everything, we're way, way below, you know, other areas that are smaller populations, you know, those types of things, you know. So I'm trying to tell you, this works. if you can't use your influence to get other people to follow this also, then at least follow it yourselves. Stay home. Stay home, stay home, stay home. Eat, get fat. Watch Netflix. Do it like me, and to the point where you just feel guilty. I mean, I do. I really feel. Last night I felt so bad. You know, I felt so bad. You know, it was like I'm you know, you feel helpless. I mean, like, there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing you can do, and this whole entire and you want to help. I mean, like, well, at least I do. You know, you want to help people. You don't want to see people suffering. You don't want to see people dying, especially when you know that there's people in your family and your friends that are at risk. I've got several friends in Florida that are medically kind of like not in the best shape, and you know, that terrified. I mean, I'm just, you know, it's sitting around just kind of like waiting to see who's still around after the dust clears. I mean, that's an awful feeling, you know, and especially just be kind of like sitting on the sofa eating steak and, you know, what? I mean, like, because, you know, you can't stop eating. I mean, like, one of the things that I know is that, you know, I have to go out and buy food. You know, I have to go out and spend money because I have to do at least whatever I can buy, you know, to help the economy. Everyone has to keep doing that. You know, spend what you can on what you can and what you need, you know, just so there is something going into the economy. Sitting home, like, going on hunger strikes, you know, it's not going to help the economy, and it's not going to save any lives. So anyway, all right, you guys, it's Monday. I've got like an asshole amount of work to do. I'm going to die. Take it easy. Take the measures, you know, stay cool. Good luck teaching the new math. Yeah, that'll be fun. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.